Happy Monday, St. Charles students. So today, I'm going to be reading the book Sailing with the Wind by Thomas Locker. And I do apologize, but the cover is a little dark, and in the setup it's not working so well, but I just thought this would be a fun book to read. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. Now remember, from this point on, I'm reading for fun because I can. Sailing with the Wind by Thomas Locker. Now we notice we got a little sailboat here. Got some dark weather, but let's see what happens in this book. My Uncle Jack was lucky. He worked on a big ship and traveled all over the world. Every few years, when his ship came into port, Uncle Jack would visit us. We had just got word that he was arriving today. I could hardly wait. I climbed up a high hill so that I would be able to see the sailboat coming up the river. I had never seen the ocean or been far away from home. But ever since I was little, Uncle Jack promised me that someday we would sail down the river all the way to the ocean. Perhaps this time he would take me with him. I sat on the hilltop watching the clouds move across the sky. In their changing shapes, I could see the wonders Uncle Jack had described to me. The Great Wall of China, gigantic bluebirds from Africa, fish from the South Seas, palaces, and temple domes. When I looked down again and saw the white sails of... Then I looked down again and saw the white sails of Uncle Jack's boat. And I don't know if you can kind of see it, but Uncle Jack's boat is right there. Uncle Jack! Uncle Jack! I called and raced down the hill to the river. We tied up the boat and Uncle Jack gave me a big hug. Let me look at you, Elizabeth. You've gotten big. I hardly recognize you. And that was always what he had said when he came. It was a hot day. We sat outside on the porch, opening Uncle Jack's presents and listening to stories of his travels. Finally, at sunset, a cool breeze came up, and he turned to my parents. Don't you think Elizabeth's old enough now to sail to the ocean with me? He asked. My father wasn't sure, but my mother said it was time. My mother said it was time I saw something of the world. At last they agreed that Uncle Jack and I would make the trip tomorrow. My mother and I packed a picnic. Then, before I went to bed, Uncle Jack asked if I would help him get some things from the boat. The night turned cool. Mist was rising from the river, and it was hard to tell where the water ended and the air began. On our way back to the house, Uncle Jack said, You'll need to set your alarm for 6 o'clock. It's a full day's sail to the ocean and back. I was so excited. I couldn't fall asleep. What if my alarm clock didn't go off? But in the morning, I woke up by myself at 5:30. Uncle Jack rowed the boat onto the river just as it was starting to get light. I put on my life jacket, and he raised the sails. The dawn was foggy and so quiet, I felt as if we were inside a cloud. Although there was no wind, the river's current carried us on our way. As the sun rose, the fog disappeared and the sails filled with wind. Our boat picked up speed, moving swiftly down the river. Uncle Jack let me have a turn at the rudder, and he didn't even say anything when I took off my life jacket. I had never seen this part of the river before. It was the farthest I had ever been from home. It was almost noon, and we hadn't eaten breakfast. Uncle Jack said we should have our picnic on a little island up ahead, because soon we would be in the bay, away from any land. We ate sandwiches, and I poured Uncle Jack some coffee. But I was in a hurry to get started again. I had seen seagulls flying above the river, and all I could think about was the ocean, waiting for me, close by. We sailed into the bay and then slowly out upon the vast blue ocean. It was more beautiful than I had ever imagined, but our boat seemed frail and tiny as it bobbed about in the waves. The wind changed constantly, and was so strong that I put my life jacket back on. "Looks like a storm is brewing," said Uncle Jack. "I think we should turn back." The waves got higher. We went up and crashed down over and over again. The spray drenched me, and I was so frightened. I felt almost sick. The wind pulled us close to the rocks, but Uncle Jack steered us safely past them and back into the river. My uncle was a fine sailor. Now I felt safe again. We sailed up the river with the wind behind us. The sky grew darker and darker, and it began to rain. The storm on the ocean had been blown back to land. I had to bail the rainwater out of the boat, and I got drenched all over again. There was nothing else to do but laugh, and that's exactly what Uncle Jack and I did. We had a wonderful time laughing while the water came down in sheets. Finally, the rain stopped. The air was fresh and cool as we glided silently into our cove. The colors of the sunset shone upon the water. Never had it seemed more beautiful. I was glad to be home. Uncle Jack stayed for about a week. He helped my father with some heavy work and spent a lot of time with me. One day we went fishing in the stream behind our house. It was it was high from the rain, so stirred up that we didn't catch anything. Uncle Jack began to sleep late in the morning, and Mom got annoyed with him. I think Uncle Jack was just getting restless. One morning at breakfast, he announced that it was time for him to be getting back to his ship. He said goodbye to my parents and asked if I would walk with him down to the river. There was so much I wanted to tell him, but I felt shy. Uncle Jack seemed to understand. "Goodbye, Elizabeth," he said. "I'll be back in a couple of years, and we'll go on another adventure then. I promise." I climbed back up the hill and watched Uncle Jack's boat until it became a tiny speck on the horizon. Then I went back to my house. I knew my parents were waiting for me, and the day was just beginning. Okay. This book is about going places and doing things that you haven't done before. And when it's safe to do so, you should try it. Always be careful. You'll notice that even when she got onto the ocean, even though she wasn't necessarily a huge fan of it, she put her life vest, her life jacket on to be safe in with the storm coming up. So that's a way to keep yourself safe while still exploring something new. And that's what you have to remember, is to just, try it, but be careful. So I hope you had a good time, and I hope this inspires you to maybe, travel someday when it's, when times are better. I also like the idea that they were able to laugh at the storm. Sometimes you just have to do that. Sometimes when the thunder crashes, you just make a good loud laugh and say, I'm just happy that I'm alive and I can see everything that's been going on. And that's healthy too. As long as you remember to be careful. Anyway, tomorrow I'll be back. I'll read another book. I hope everybody has a good day. And stay happy, stay healthy, get some healthy exercise, and have a good day.